Welcome to episode 10. Banana cake, but not just any banana cake. It's banana cake with Bailey's milk chocolate fudge and peanut butter chantilly. Chantilly, which is a fancy name for whipped cream. Then just say whipped cream then. We are going to start with the fudge. We do this by greasing a small baking tin and lining with some baking paper. This is how I line a baking tin. I cut the corners to help me when I fold them down on the sides. It doesn't have to be perfect. And there you have it. Next, take your weighing scale and a medium-sized pot, much like this one, and pour in 205 grams of double cream and 205 grams of caster sugar. That's very specific. I will also be using golden syrup, but you can substitute this with honey if you prefer. We need 30 grams. Next, the main ingredient, Bailey's. 115 grams of that. Bring the pot with the wet ingredients to the stove and turn on to medium to high heat. We want the mixture to boil. Now to measure out the milk chocolate. It would help to cut them into tiny cubes. We need 56 grams of milk chocolate. Keep that on standby. I will be using a probe thermometer, because fudge comes under candy making, and using a thermometer is helpful in getting the right temperature. You will also need a cup with water for the thermometer later. Keep that on standby for now. Keep whisking from time to time so that the bottom doesn't burn. Stick your thermometer in. We need to reach 118 degrees Celsius. Don't walk away because it can reach the temperature rather fast. When it is near the right temperature, the bubbles will become smaller and the mixture will become thicker. Don't forget to keep whisking. Almost there. Put the probe thermometer in the water you had on standby to dissolve the sugar that's left on the probe. Take it off the heat and let it settle for a little bit on the side. It will look like loose caramel. Keep whisking away for two reasons, because you don't want it to settle and you are also helping it to cool down. Pour in the milk chocolate and mix well. Make sure to really get all the sides. It should look glossy and smooth. Without skipping a beat, pour the mixture in the lined baking tin from earlier. There you go, a nice clean pot due to the constant whisking while it was cooking. Use a rubber spatula to spread it out evenly. Once you have done that, leave it to one side to set for at least 2 hours. That gives us enough time to bake the banana cake. Why do people call it banana bread when it is clearly a cake? There isn't any yeast or fermentation happening, but yet they call it banana bread. Oh well, still tastes great to me. Next, prepare your baking ware. I am using a glass lasagna type to bake the banana cake in. Using the same technique you used to line the first baking tin, spray it with some oil. Bring out the baking paper and cut the corners roughly. Press down and adjust it nicely. There you go, perfectly lined. Keep that on standby for later. Here I have 270 grams of overripe bananas. Yes, they need to be overripe for the flavor to come out. The darker the parts, the better. Peel them and place in a mixing bowl, as well as 300 grams of caster sugar. I'm going to let you in on a little secret. I use a hint of coffee for my banana cake. Take 3 grams of instant coffee powder and blend till a fine powder. I am using a spice grinder for this. Add in that coffee powder we had just processed earlier. The powder will dissolve into the cake mixture. Use a paddle attachment. Bring out your stand mixer. Turn the mixer on to medium speed and let it go for a couple of minutes. It will look something like this. It is perfectly alright if there are still some big chunks of banana left. I say leave it in for some textured mouthfeel. Next, onto the dry ingredients. Place a sieve on the top of a mixing bowl and pour in 300 grams of plain flour, 2 grams of table salt, 3 grams of bicarbonate soda, and give it a shake. In another mixing bowl, pour in 300 grams of vegetable oil. Because we are using oil rather than butter, the cake will remain moist and soft, as butter tends to solidify. 15 grams of vanilla essence, and 150 grams of whole eggs. Whisk it to combine. Let's get back to the bananas. Pour the egg oil mixture in slowly and let that mix. Take it off the mixer and use the whisk to help mix from the bottom, as there might be some unmixed parts. Once the wet ingredients has been combined, we can then pour in the flour mixture in 2 parts. Let that mix for a couple of minutes until all the flour has disappeared into the mixture. Take it off from the mixer and use a rubber spatula to scrape the sides of the mixing bowl. Bring out the lined baking glassware. Pour in all the mixture. Look at that, a clean bowl because we scraped it properly. Put it in the oven at 160 degrees Celsius for about 50 minutes to start with first. Full fan. After the timer goes off, check the cake with a skewer, or you can use a probe thermometer, and when it reaches above 100 degrees Celsius, you can take the cake out. Have a smell at that aroma. Fresh banana cake with a slight hint of coffee. Don't worry about the temperature probe holes. We will be covering that later. Nice and evenly baked. Let that cool for at least 2 hours before cutting. After 2 hours, let's have a look inside. Look at that jiggle. Now let's cut the fudge. Peel back the paper. Cut strips and then into little bars. You can enjoy them now, but I have some plans with that. Oh, come on, Jess. Wait till I'm done shooting this video. Fine, you can have one. Now that our cake is looking good and the fudge is ready, let's go ahead and make the peanut butter topping. I am using my favorite brand, Skippy Smooth Peanut Butter. You can of course use chunky peanut butter. I won't judge you. Take 70 grams of peanut butter and place that in a mixing bowl. 4 grams of vanilla essence to help elevate the flavors, and 210 grams of double cream. Whisk away to make the whipped cream. I am not using any sugar because the peanut butter I am using here is sweet, and the sweetness of the cake and fudge combined will be good enough. You will know when it's ready when you are able to see it support itself, and then you should stop. You don't want to over whisk cream. That would be terrible. I will be putting the cream in a piping bag because I want to create an elegant pattern on the cake. I am using one of my favorite piping nozzles. You can create flowers with these ones, but we're not doing that today. Place the nozzle in the piping bag. Here is a little trick. To help me in piping, I follow that little extra plastic bit as an aiming guide. Time to assemble. Let's go ahead and cut us some decent slices. I would say 2 fingers width is pretty generous. I trimmed and ate the edges. I also got rid of the top skin, but that is just optional. Take your peanut butter cream and pipe an even layer on the top like this. Apply even pressure and just let it fall into place. Now for that final assembly, cut up tiny cubes of fudge to decorate the cake with. Place on the top. Will you just look at that? A simple finish to a delicious moist banana cake. Well, there you have it. Banana cake with Bailey's milk chocolate fudge and peanut butter chantilly. Thank you for being a part of this making process. If you enjoyed what you watched and it made you want to make banana cake, make sure to hit the like button, comment and subscribe. Oh, and don't forget to check out our other videos too. Until next time, bye for now!